How do everyone? It is Liam, the Deaf Do Metalhead, and I have a big old stack of filthy new music for you guys to check out today. All gifts from a chap called Pieface, who you may know, who is a big commentator on lots of different YouTube channels, and Simon is an amazing bloke, and he sport me again. So I thought I'd share all these albums, because a lot of these I never heard before. A lot of the bands I had heard before, but he seems to know that I don't have these albums, because he's never ever sent me anything I don't already have, which shows my collection isn't as powerful as people think. But first, I'm going to do something totally different. Don't think I'm a sellout though, because this is new to me as it is to you guys watching my YouTube channel. Now, I've been doing YouTube now, what, 2 years? Nearly 3 years? I can't remember. But in that time you see a lot of YouTubers do sponsored videos, and companies will sponsor a YouTube video, and I thought I'll never do that. That would be something I'm never going to do. But I had a company email me about a month ago, and I usually ignore them because sometimes they are spam and you get them so often, especially if you use Instagram like I do. You get lots and lots of fake accounts saying, oh, we want to endorse you with stuff like this. But I got an email from a company called GTHIC, which the logo, or GTHIC, however you want to say it, will appear above my head here. And I looked into it and it seemed genuine, because a lot of YouTube videos features these rings. Now, why am I talking about rings? Now, I wear skull rings a lot. You don't normally see them because I don't normally wear them on videos, because I normally take them off in the evening, but I do like to wear rings, especially because I play live with Consecration. I wear them on stage for kind of the stage attire, or that kind of aesthetic. And if you remember if you're a long time viewer, I used to wear a gold skull ring in some videos. Now my youngest son, it wasn't gold, it was like fake. My wife bought it for me off a Ukrainian website before, obviously, what happened years ago, and it turned out it wasn't what she thought it was. But I kept it and I wore it because it's, you know, from the kids. But my youngest son binned it a couple of months ago, and I said to him, where is it? He went, oh, it's in the bin. He's only like 3 years old, and by then the bin was in the bin and it is long gone. So that ring disappeared, and I was like, oh well, you know, what can you do? And then, you know, I said I'll get around to buying a new one. But this company said just pick 5 rings, and then if you just show them on a YouTube video, you can have them. So I did that, and lo and behold, they arrived. You know, wasn't expecting this. I didn't sign anything. I haven't got any contractual obligations. But you know, if you get something given for free, same with like labels when they give you albums to check out, you've got to show them everything. It's respect. And I was skeptical, don't get me wrong, but I was like very surprised to be proven quite wrong. Now, these are all stainless steel rings. I'm not posh, you know, and like I said, I have children that come in and out of here and nick things all the time. I need to lock the door. But yeah, look at that. They all arrived. I picked 5 out, and I'll give you the link to the website address below. And you can also get a code off me, which gets you 20% off, which is pretty cool, I thought. But these are legit, like, they are really smart. I'll show you some. So these are just stainless steel, they're nothing fancy. See if the camera focuses on that. It's probably not going to do it. But these are quite chunky rings. You know, I wore these to work a few times, and you know, they look alright. So yeah, really, really happy. So I picked a few out that I quite like the old satanic ones there. Especially where I've been working recently, I can't wear that one. Upset the old Catholics. And then you've got a nice big skull ring there. I like my skull rings, I'm really happy with that. Especially when I'm on stage and all that kind of thing. And then I went for a wild card. I went for 2 wild cards because they're free. I'm not buying for these, you know, I thought I'd just see what they're like. I'm a big fan of The Witcher, so I got that one. I don't know if you'll see it with the camera. I will probably edit this video and add in clips, but that is really cool with the wolf. And then, being a massive Lord of the Rings nerd, I also got the Saruman's Eye, which is a dragon eye, isn't it? But I quite like that. That had the old Grim Reapers on the side as well. I love my Grim Reapers. So yeah, you know, you may think I'm a complete wuss for wearing rings, and that's fair enough. But yeah, I do that kind of thing. So I will leave a link below, and you can go check it out for yourself. I mean, the postage I thought was going to take forever. That only took maybe less than 2 weeks. So yeah, go give them a go, see what you think. If you're into kind of like stainless steel jewellery and you just want to look like a fake goth, give it a go. And there's a 20% off link below with the Deaf Do Metalhead, I think it was, that you can give it a razz and yeah, enjoy. But more importantly, let's talk about some music. So, like I said, Simon sent me a big old stack of heavy metal goodness. I've had this for a little while now, because videos for me have become a bit tricky because work has really picked up recently, which is something I'm not used to. Living and working from home for like 2 years now, being out and about again has been a bit of a culture shock for me. So yeah, not feeling the whole sitting in my office vibe that much. It's more of a treat just to sit and listen to music rather than do this. So I will start off with the first band. It is a Dutch they are a death metal band. Yeah, they're kind of like in the black metal realm as well, in more newer releases. They're still going strong now. But this is God Dethroned, with the album Into the Lungs of Hell, and this was put out through Metal Blade back in 2003, and this is their 5th full length. Now this band formed in 91, they've split up twice since, and I think now they're still going, but there's only one original member, which is Henry Sattler, who is also behind Serpent King Guitars, if you know them. Eric Cutler for Autopsy plays their guitars by memory. So, you know, very, very cool guitar company, and I do love their guitars. Very pointy, very nasty looking, just how it should be. But they also are a wicked band. I've seen these guys live as well once in London. Really, really cool band. There he is there, the only guy left in the band from the original formation. But this is, like I say, blackened kind of death metal. The newer albums are more of a war theme and the kind of bolt thrower-esque kind of World War II, World War One kind of themes. I've got one of their albums back there, which is World War One themed, I believe, by memory. This is good. It sounds like a very 2003 album though, very blasty. The production is very gated on the guitars, it's very crisp, and it has that kind of almost, not nu metal because that's not obviously not wrong, but it's got that kind of production to it where it's kind of, it wouldn't sound like that now if they recorded it again, put it that way. So yeah, God Dethroned, really, really enjoyed that. Love that band. Now this was totally new to me, and I only really found out about this project through another channel, Cadaverous Carnage, but I can't remember what he calls it now. It's got a different name, the YouTube channel. But this album is a really unique album. So this is the Ravenous with the album Assembled in Blasphemy. This band formed in '97 and is a supergroup of Dan Ilker from Nuclear Blast on bass. You have Chris Reifert from Autopsy on drums. And then the vocals are done by Killjoy, who's obviously not around anymore, but he was in Necrophagia, I think it was the band name. Never really listened to their music, but I know of Killjoy. Now the artwork was done by famous tattooist Paul Booth, who's done The Undertaker. He did Kerry King's head tattoo. He's a very, very famous tattooist, and he done the artwork for this album cover. So that's already really cool, and I really like that. And then the band logo and the layout was done by the Riddick brothers. So Mark Riddick, who everyone knows, he does loads of different album designs, actually has a twin brother who does sort of similar thing, but not as intense as Mark does. And yeah, a really, really interesting album. So it is essentially what you think it was going to be. It's death metal, but it isn't accessible death metal by any stretch. This is really, really hard to get into, and I won't pretend that I got it straight away, and I really liked it straight away, because when I first heard it, I was driving, I think, to the gym at the time, and I didn't get it. It was really messy, and I mean really raw, and I mean really raw. Very, very, it sounded like if you could, and I guess that's what they were going for, a woman tied up in a basement being mutilated. It had all that vibe about it, and every song is just essentially that. It's just like, the songs are called like Dead, Cut Up and Ready to Fuck, Perverted Before God, you know, Orgy in Dog's Blood. It is all about the most obscure and extreme shit you can come up with. And you know, even on the back there's a young girl fucking hanging off a rope. It's pretty fucked up, I won't deny that. But pedigree wise, it's a very, very, very strong lineup when you look at it on paper. But then when you look through the book, it's weird. There's some guest appearances, and there's a lot of black metal musicians featured in the book. If you look there, nearly all of them, if not most of them, like you've got Abath there, you've got Fenris in there from Dark Throne, what's his face from Satyricon, who now sells wine, and there's a load of other ladies in there, and Gals in there, I think. There's loads of different people. Autopsy lads are in there as well. But yeah, I mean, it's a very, very interesting project, and I won't sit there and pretend I got it, because I didn't, and I'm still struggling with it a little bit. You know, I've got my head around most of it now, but it's not one I've been spinning a lot, especially with young children. I can't really blast that one out. So yeah, give it a go anyway. It's really cool. The Ravenous. That came out, I think that was their debut from 2000, so there you go. Next band is a band from Tampa, Florida. This is their third full length from 2001, and the band formed in '96. And this is the band Diabolic, with the album Vengeance Ascending. This is put out through Seasons of Mist. Now, Simon said I would struggle with this one because the trigger on the drums is very, very clicky and very robotic sounding. But I didn't bother me at all. I thought it was alright. I didn't really notice it until he told me that it's what I thought would not enjoy about it. But I said it's cool. I like it, and I like the music. It's a very well written death metal album. You know, it's got that American sound. Florida band. It's obviously going to sound like the others to a point. And you know, I swear I've heard of these guys on their latter albums, but definitely not this one. And it was a really good listen. So if you've never checked out Diabolic, blasty, satanic kind of vibe, you know, evil death metal, you know what you're going to get. What was next? Oh yeah, this one most people have already heard, and very, very well known band. I think they even put a new album out next week or this week, and that is Bloodbath with the album Grand Morbid Funeral. This was put out through Peaceful Records back in I didn't even write it down. That's naughty, isn't it? 2014. I remember when this came out. I have the t-shirt of this. And yeah, HM2 death metal in the vein of Entombed in not Dissection. What's the fucking band name? It'll come to me later. But yeah, all the Swedish kind of death metal bands is inspired by that, mixed in with the American bands. Now this is the first one, I think, when they got Nick Holmes from Paradise Lost on vocals. So they had Michael Achenfeld from Opeth for ages. They had the chap from Hypocrisy on it, one album I think. And then Dan Swanner used to do some vocals for them when he played guitar. But this one has Nick Holmes from Paradise Lost. And I think the lineup also then has the lead guitarist at the time for Catatonia then joined the band. Even though the majority of this project is between Catatonia and the former drummer of Opeth, who's no longer in it. But yeah, solid album. I mean, Nick's now done, I think, 3 albums with them on vocals, and they're all decent. He's a very, very good vocalist, and it's really cool to see him doing the death metal stuff still, because I really wasn't keen on the whole Depeche Mode Paradise Lost vocals. So yeah, go give that a go if you've never checked that out, because that's a really good album. Alright, next one is, everyone's heard of this one, but again, never had it in my collection. I've actually never listened to this album, because this album has been redone, each song, through their discography, this band. So this is Suffocation, with the classic Breeding the Spawn. This is their second full-length album. Through Roadrunner Records, band formed in 1988. Pioneers of slam and brutal death metal. They are the godfathers of that slam dun 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 beat, in my opinion. You know, some people say it's other bands, but for me, it's always going to be Suffocation. This came out in 1993. And when I say about these tracks, because a lot of people moan about the production on this album, and over the years, if you listen to newer Suffocation albums, one of the tracks off this album is always normally featured as a bonus track. Like Marital Decimation is on Blood Oath by memory. That's the first Suffocation song I actually ever heard, and I wasn't aware that was an old one either. But Terence Hobbs is the only OG member of this band now, and they're still going strong. They've just put out a live album this year, which was recorded last year, which is a really, really good live album, which had Frank on vocals for his last ever tour. And yeah, it's just solid, old school 90s death metal that everybody knows. So if you've never checked out Suffocation and you're watching this video thinking, I've never heard of these before, because it does happen. You get youngsters that watch these videos, hopefully, and they'll learn about these new bands that they've never heard of, even though to us they're about 1 million years old. So yeah, love Suffocation, amazing band. Now this is there's two actually 2022 releases in this collection he sent me, and this is really, really cool. Now I have featured this band in the last update he sent me, so if you saw that you already know this band, and that is the French death metal band Voorhees, which is obviously inspired by the main man himself with the hockey mask, Jason Voorhees, and this is Chapter 3, put out through Rat Lord Records. This is number, I don't know what that is, a pair of shoes. So it's either 11 or a pair of shoes out of 100. I don't really know what that means. I'm going to go with 11. Someone can't write though. But either way, this is some really tasty death metal. Very, very solid. Tape is a red shell. And this has a few guests on it. It has the chap from Sinistrum on vocals for one track, because they're also in the band Voorhees Scourge, if you know that band, which features the former legend, can't remember his name, the drummer in Suffocation, the really good drummer, the OG drummer in that project. And there's also Drew McIntyre, I think his name is, does some lead work in this album, and there's a few other guest vocalists from bands I've never heard of. And yeah, it's just some solid death metal. This is the first one of theirs that I actually heard a soundbite from the Voorhees films. It's right at the start of the album to kick it off. And like you predicted, it is all about Jason Voorhees. And it's really, really good. Very riffy, very solid, brilliant production, very crisp. And yeah, if you've never checked this out, well worth your time. Very grateful for Simon for introducing me to this band, because I never heard of them before. And now you have, so go fucking check it out. It's awesome. A few more. So this, I mean, I'm very, very spoiled. This one is probably the pick of the bunch for me. I've listened to this probably the most, and it's a band I've known about for years and years and years. When I joined Consecration, Dan, our vocalist, is a big fan of this band and always wore the shirts with the tanks on them. So I already knew the name, but I never listened to them, so I was dead against black metal. And like you've probably known if you watch my videos for now, I've proper been bitten by the black metal bug. That's not really a problem for me anymore. And this is Marduk's album, World Funeral, put out through Regain Records back in 2003. And at that point, this is their 8th full-length album. They're still going strong. Still whinging about Satan and the war and, you know, everything nasty in the world. And, you know, I love it. I really do like this band. And I've really, really gotten into them recently. And this, to me, at the moment, is the pick of the bunch, what I've heard. I've only got 2, but I have streamed a few of the earlier ones, but the one I haven't heard yet is Panzer Division or something like that with a tank on it. I really need to check that one out, or pick it up at least. But this is amazing. Really, really like this. Very, very riffy, very catchy. You know, a lot of people like this band, and it's a band I want to see live, because I've always been like really asphyxiated with the logo. Like they have that inverted cross with the 666 on it and the wording on it. It looks just smart. Really, really like the band. And yeah, really, really cool. I mean, Morgan, who is the guitar player in the band, he's the only OG member now, because they formed in 1990 in Sweden. And, you know, an absolute solid band, always on the festivals, you know, they're still going strong. So yeah, really like that one. This is a wild card, and I guarantee most people watch this have never heard of this band. I never had. And it is weird, but in a cool way. So this is, how would you pronounce that? Cadaverous Condition, with the album The Lesser Travelled Seas. Now this is put out through Perverted Taste Records in 2001. They're an Austrian band that formed in 1990, and they formed as a gore grind band, but they're now, with this album especially, they are now known as, and I think they labelled it themselves as, death folk. So that is what I just said. They are a death metal band, but they also do folk music with death metal vocals, all on one album. You know, you get the whole work. So it kicks off really heavy, has that kind of Swedish style with the riffing and the melodies and how they're played, and then they'll go into a full-on folk song, but the vocals still stay growly. It's like when Gorefest did their kind of Thin Lizzy style, but they kept the vocals. It's exactly the same with this band, and they're still going strong. I believe they actually put an album out this year. They've got quite a few out now. And I must admit, I've listened to this quite a fair few times now, because it is very cool, because I like my kind of folky, doomy kind of black metal. And with this one, it's the same sort of thing. It's very cool music. I mean, the vocals are a bit weird with the folk, I won't deny that. It doesn't gel so much in my head. I mean, it does now because I don't really care, but at the time it was a bit of a contrast in death metal and then death folk. But yeah, I mean, the artwork's really cool. I quite like that. I don't know why, but I do. And yeah, it's a solid album. Very, very happy with that, because, you know, if you told me I was death folk, I would never have touched that in a million years. So yeah, thank you, Simon. Right, next one is a black metal band from New York City that formed in 1990. One of the apparently pioneers of the black metal scene in the US, and that is the band Profanatica, something like that, with the album Thy Kingdom Come, C-U-M. Ooh. So there's a bit of history behind this band. So it was started by 3 former members of the death metal band Incantation, and like I said, considered one of the earliest US black metal bands, but they split in 92, but then they reformed again in 2001. But the only original member left is a Paul Ledney, who still kind of pushes the band, and you know, this is, I believe, their 3rd full length, but this didn't come out until 2013, so I think the first 2 came out very early in the 90s, stopped, and then they've carried on since, and I think there's a few after this one as well. But when you listen to this, considering when the year it came out, it still sounds like it came out in the early 90s. The production is very lo-fi, it's very, very raw, the vocals are very raw recorded, it doesn't kind of mesh well for me. This was put out through Hell's Headbangers, and it's again about Satan, all the nasty things in the world in regards to religion anyway. You know, you got your Grand Balal's Key, which I showed in a previous video, and you got this one that's got songs like Thy Kingdom Come, Denounce Him, Ropes of Hatred, you know, all blasphemy and Satanism and all that kind of thing. But you know, I like all that, so it doesn't bother me. And I like the album cover was really cool, but it is very raw, and I've given this about 3 goes, and I'm not 100% on it yet. Not like I could easily take Marduk all day over this band, put it that way. But yeah, interesting listen. That was a weird one. Now this is the other 2022 release. This is an EP, debut EP for a band based in Kentucky in the US. Features the vocalist from the band Fornicus, if you know them. I've mentioned them on my channel before. Really good black and death metal band, and that's a really good album from them. And this is actually a really cool EP. Simon, I didn't even know he was sending me this, to be fair. I was just kind of opened the package and there it was, and I was like, I've never even heard of this. The cover looks wicked though. And the band, I'm going to try and pronounce it, it's called Sinistrum, with Tritonomy of Death. Look at that cover, it's wicked. But it's got 3 tracks, very, very good. Very, very good death metal. Very riffy. There, the lads there. I don't know why his camera doesn't focus. I've got a Pixel phone, and for some reason since an update it doesn't focus as good as it used to. So I do apologise. But yeah, anyway. If you've never heard of it, go check it out on Bandcamp. I'll obviously leave a link below, and you can go and give it a razz yourself. But that was really cool. It's got very good production on it. Blasty, evil sounding, vocals are spot on, riffs are tight, you know, everything you love about death metal. So yeah, go give them a support. And the last one he sent me out, this mighty stack of music, is one that I've been looking at for absolutely ages. And again, never picked it up. I was going to get it on tape at one point, I was going to get it on vinyl at one point, but as every other collector, you see something sparkling in the background that you go, ooh, I'll have that instead, and then you forget all about it. But this is the split between Coffins and Depression. Came out in 2020. And everyone knows I love Cofins. They're a fantastic death doom band out of Japan. But it also features Depression, which is a death grind band from Germany, who formed in 1989, the birth year of me. So they've been around a long ass time. And it's cool to see the 2 bands mixed, because it's you've got that kind of death and roll Cofins, and then you've got Depression, which kind of brings a more blasty, but they also cover Altars and Gore, which is a Coffin song, which was my favourite Coffin song, so that was awesome to hear. And this is a really good split. The Coffin songs on it are really strong, and so is Depression. You know, some splits you get kind of one band's better than the other, both are solid, and I love the artwork. So yeah, well, happy with that. So that is my mighty stack from the Pie Man himself. Thank you to everyone if you've stuck with me and watched this video. Please like the video to tell YouTube that I'm alright. And like I said before at the start, if you don't think I'm a sellout and you want to go check out some rings, they do have silver and gold rings if you've got money. But if you're a beggar like me, they do the stainless steel ones, and they look wicked. I assure you, they are surprisingly very, very good. I wasn't expecting it. So, you know, if you do get an email from a company in the future and you do this kind of social media thing, do some research, because it can benefit you. if you're lucky. So in the meantime, take care. I'll speak to you guys in the comment section. Cheers.